Hello all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to another video from Let's DevOps. In today's video, we are going to talk about and look into detail about Git Hooks. Now, what is Git Hooks? Git Hooks, as per the official Git documentation, says, like many other version control systems, Git has a way to fire off custom scripts when certain important actions occur. Now, this is a very good documentation, very detailed documentation that you can look into to understand more about Git Hooks and its complete power and features. But the couple of sentences that we just read is enough to understand what Git Hooks is. So Git has various action points that we have. For example, once we modify a file, we would have to stage the files using git add, and then we do a commit, and then we do a push from the client side to the server side, and on the server side there is a change that gets received, uh, and then finally it gets stored into the server. So there are various action points in Git, and during any of these action points, if you want to invoke or fire off a custom script, could be of any reason. The custom script could be to um, monitor something, check something, look into something, could be of any action and of any programming language type or scripting language type. Then you can use Git hooks to fire off such custom scripts at any action point of Git. Now, this explanation would still be a little vague, I would assume, but let's not waste time, directly jump into a demo to understand things better. Now we have a repository. Let's go ahead and clone this repository into our local. So git clone and the clone URL. All right, so we have the repository cloned in our local machine. Let's get inside. Now, every repository that you clone or every repository on Git has a .git folder. Now, this folder is not visible uh, normally. It is a hidden folder. So I just enabled the hidden files, and then you must be able to see this .git folder. Get inside the .git folder and you can see something called as hooks. Let's get inside the hooks as well, and you can see a list of various kind of pre-configured hooks that would be in place. Now, you can see that there are different kinds of hooks for commit message, pre-commit, uh, push, rebase, receive, and so on. Most of the Git actions that are possible has a corresponding hook file also that is in place in the hooks folder. Now, this is not it. You can also create some custom hooks and then invoke it at specific points of Git. But to understand easier, let's pick something like a pre-commit. Before the file gets committed, I want one of my scripts to get fired to check something, and if it looks good, then go ahead with the commit so that I can follow it with a push. If not, break my commit, and then I have some time to fix the issue. So let's first look into what this pre-commit by default gives us. Again, not the ideal way to open a file. I don't have Visual Studio Code on my system, so I'm just showing it with a notepad. As I said, by default, these Git hooks have shell scripts or bash scripts written in them. But Git Hooks support a variety of scripting languages. You can do it in Python, Ruby, uh, uh, Perl, or whatever is of your comfort. You can write scripts of your choice. Now, by default, there is some script. It is to check some trailing white spaces. If you go through the shell script, you will understand it better. But I don't want this. I want to, let's come up with a use case. So let's say that you all know that as a standard DevOps industry practice, it is a complete no-no to hard code credentials into any of your files. Now, let's say a new project is starting and then they are vulnerable to, are you prone to hard coding these credentials into their files? Let's come up with a hook that will check if there are any hard-coded credentials in a file, and the moment it identifies, we don't want the commit to go through and be a hard stop. So that's the use case and the demo that we are going to look in for. So for that, we need to invoke definitely a script. So the script is already on my repository. There is something called as pre-commit, and it's pretty straightforward. So first, I just to make sure that the pre-commit hook is getting executed, I'm just echoing a line saying that ensure the pre-commit hook is getting executed. Then comes the actual game, wherein I say for the file that we are committing, if you find any credentials that has a mix of alphanumeric characters up to 20 length, then you identify it as an hard-coded secret or a password or a user, whatever, and then throw this error message and then exit out. Do not proceed with the commit. So that's our code. So I copy it and I place it on this pre-commit file that we have. Save, close. If I go back, there is one final thing that we might have to do, which is to rename this pre-commit dot sample to just pre-commit. That's the way of Git hooks to know that the custom script is enabled and not enabled. If it is with some dot extension or dot some character sample or whatever, Git assumes that okay, it's not it should not fire off this Git hooks. The moment you remove it off and then just keep it as pre-commit, then it is going to understand that okay, this script has to be fired. Yes, yep. And let's also look into the repository. I already have a couple of just some dummy source code mimicking files wherein I have a config file which has a username and a password. I just see that there is one issue. Let's do this. So as per our script, if we open our script hooks, the logic we have is it needs to be alphanumeric, capital A to Z, and could also have 0 to 9 as the numeric characters of length 20. Now we need to match that in our file. So let's mimic that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 characters. Perfect. Commit, commit change. I'm doing this directly on the UI. I could have actually done it on the local and then tried to push it. Anyways, let me do a git pull. Oopsie. Git pull. I'm not into the cloned repository yet. Git cd sample, and then we do a git pull because we want the changes that we did on the UI to come onto our local. and I go to my local, open the file, do some more change like just added a new credential, save, boom, close. All right, so we have some change done on the config.py, and unfortunately that file has a credential and we have enabled the hook to look for it. Now let's see what happens when we try to commit it. Git add dot git commit -m added crits to config file as a part of Jira. Now this could also be another use case wherein you can use the pre-commit message hook and check if the commit message that you are giving while committing a file has a Jira or Jira issue ID in place. That's one of the most commonly used use cases because nowadays all of the organizations have Jira ID being parsed as a part of their commit message, and this pre-commit hook can actually check that. And even if a developer somehow misses it, then it will not allow the commit to go through and it will make a hard stop and ask the developer to add the Jira ID. Right, now that's not this use case, so we are going to try and do a commit. Let's check if the commit is going through or the hook is actually identifying there is a credential and stopping it. Boom, it works. So first it is ensuring that the commit hook is getting executed, yes, and then it has identified that config.py file has a password and so it cannot proceed with the commit. You have to do some changes and then once you have rectified or fixed the issue, then the push should go through. Until then, how many ever times you executed it is not going to allow you to move forward. Yep, that's mainly it. Maybe very quickly, let's go to the hooks. And I was talking about this commit message.sample. Uh, First, let's stop invoking this pre-commit hook. All you need to do is just add the .sample back, and to enable the commit message hook, undo the remove the extension, and before getting into executing it, let's quickly check what's in there. I've already feeded the script that would check for a valid commit message. So let's quickly check what's in there. Uh, the Jira pattern that we are looking for is um, capital project name followed by hyphen or minus and then some numeric value, something of these lines. So proj -123 or project minus whatever ID or Jira something. So this is how we are expecting the Jira issue ID to look like, and assuming that we have created the regex and it is going to cat the first argument after we pass the git commit -m, and then it is going to look into that commit message. And it's pretty straightforward. If it matches the pattern, then the commit goes through. If there is a mismatch to the pattern, or if the pattern that we are looking for is not there in the commit message, then it is going to throw an error. Right, let's check. Maybe let's do a quick file change. Adding some new code. Save. That's the new code change to this file. And let's come back to the terminal. Git add. Now goes the git commit. Git commit -m commit message. Let's first try without a Jira ID. Let's give some logical commit message. This does not have the Jira ID syntax we have Boom, what's happening? Nope. Error. Commit message must contain a Jira ID, which should look like this. So the commit does not go through. Now let's fix it. Instead, let's give Jira 756. Enter. Boom, goes in. Git push goes in clean as well. Perfect. That's pretty much it for this video. If you really like the video, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you in another video. Bye bye.